Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now. Good morning, Judy. I think we have Brad with us today. How are you doing, Brad?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Francis?
Very good, very good. So let me make sure we got everybody on. So, last time we saw you, Brad, was about a month ago, when we ended online race industry week. And so Judy is, obviously the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and Judy and I work very hard together for the last 6 weeks to basically carry on the momentum we built during this beautiful event of Online Race Industry Week. So we are starting today a new series of tech and business webinars for EPARTRADE. It's going to be called Race Industry Now. We will be live every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, and the show will be starting with a 1 hour live session and step by step expand to an hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever is needed that day. So good morning, Judy, again, and we're delighted to be together again on this. And we have some special hosts who are going to be joining us this season.
Yes, I want to announce this if you don't mind. So delighted, so fortunate to have Brad Gilley, Jeff Hammond, both join us for the year. Brad, I'm in awe of you and your talent that you both bring, but I'm just in awe. I'm so thankful that you're joining us. So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so happy to be invited to be a part of this because as we've talked offline before, EPARTRADE is such a wonderful platform and a great way for people to get their products and services out to the industry in a way that people can literally sit for an hour and ask questions and talk and learn and present their products. So it's an amazing asset to the industry as a whole.
Well, thank you very much, Brad. And what is very important is to know that the live sessions are obviously live, but they have a life after that. And so we have been asking many times, how can I see these sessions, or how can I hear about these sessions? So all the past webinars from Online Race Industry Week, as well as the EPARTRADE Live Tech webinar series that were started back in June last year, all the videos are on the platform, and they're also available on podcast. So anytime you want, you simply go on EPARTRADE, search for the tech webinars. They are right there. You can also go on YouTube and as well as on podcasts. So if you're driving and want to listen to a podcast from Brad Gilley interviewing, some suppliers, or from Paul Pfanner interviewing, Roger Penske or Chip Ganassi, everything is out there. It's on Spotify and Pandora and all the podcasts available. But that's basically what's going to happen every week. So we'll be back every Wednesday. We can announce that next week we'll be joining by the people from Pro Ultrasonics. The week after that we're going to be talking racing gas. The week following that one we'll be talking about water pumps with Davis Craigs. Then I think we're going to have the people from World of Outlaw. And we have a whole calendar. So without any further, introduction, I think it's time to bring our guest today. We have Tim McCarty, and we're going to ask them to start their video and their camera. So give me 1 second. So we're going to can you see us or can you hear us? Tim, we're going to have as well Rob. Give me 1 second. We're going to bring everybody on camera and on video. There we are. Very good. And Terry is right there. So Brad, you are in charge, and we'll see you in the next 50 or so minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, Francis. Really appreciate that. And again, want to welcome everyone here to EPARTRADE today and to the platform. And I'll introduce the guests that we have here today. Tim McCarty is the CEO and founder of Zycoat, and we're going to talk about their wonderful line of heat dissipating coatings and everything. And Tim right now is actually inside of the manufacturing facility. Also joining us is Terry McMillan, the owner of Terry McMillan Racing, and of course, driver of the Amelie Motor Oil Exterminator Top Fuel Dragster. We'll talk a little bit about that, as well as his crew chief, Rob Wendland, as well. So thank you everyone for joining us here today. And we'll just start with Tim. Tim, first of all, just kind of give us an overview of exactly what we're talking about here today with Zycoat and the products that you guys are offering.
Yeah, thank you, Brad, and welcome to Terry and Rob for joining me here today. And Francis, Judy, thank you for putting on this great event. We're going to be talking about ZyBar. ZyBar is a relatively new technology to the motorsports world. It's a single component heat dissipating coating for headers, turbos, manifolds, exhaust, basically any substrate that's going to be above 700 degree surface temperature. And that's really the product that is leading the Zycoat company right now. And we're thrilled to have Terry and Rob on board here today to talk about some of their experience with it as well.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, just telling us a little bit, Tim, about, exactly what the product is and how it might differ from other heat dissipating coatings.
Yeah, I guess first and foremost, Brad, the product is not a ceramic, which is really first and foremost, we want to make sure that it's very, very clear. It's a polymer-based coating. ZyBar is a single component. It's a oven cure or air cure coating. It can be sprayed with a touch-up spray gun or a primer gun. And it's applied in a very, very thin film, less than 40 microns thick. And what the product does effectively is it eliminates or reduces the ability of the metal substrate to absorb heat. And if you think about heat, heat is the absolute enemy of speed, right? So our product coats that metal, it fills fissures, it fills cracks, it fills voids in the metal, and it prevents that metal from absorbing heat. What happens when metal absorbs heat? It radiates that heat in both directions. And if you think about a tube, you have radiant heat penetrating from outside into the tube. And essentially what you're doing, that radiant heat is pressing and narrowing the diameter or the opening of that tube. So what happens in a header? That creates back pressure. And when back pressure occurs, that's negative for speed, right? So you're forcing that pressure back against the block, and you're reducing the efficiency and effectiveness of that block to perform. So it's a long-winded answer, but our product is really, really good at dissipating heat in the metal substrate. And people will argue with me, there's a lot of smart guys out there, right? Well, heat dissipation is not the right property. I beg to differ. By allowing that hot gas to flow through the tube unencumbered, you're actually increasing the efficiency of that component. The way we measured that early in development is we measured it on a Crate 604, GM Crate 604 block. We bought a whole series of the same part number long tube headers. And we ran probably 100 and 120 pulls on various headers on the exact same block under the same ambient conditions. The only difference was what we applied to those headers. And we saw a step change consistently in every pull with our product that we reduced back pressure. We measured that in the form of torque and horsepower. We measured it in the term of temperature. By measuring the surface temperature of the metal, we saw about a 200-degree drop by applying our product to that substrate. And it was both internal and external. So we corroborated the evidence, and we did that on a 490, 500 horsepower block. So if you can imagine how our product performs at 1,000 or 1,500 or 1,900 horsepower, the results are magnified. So that gives you a little bit of background. And I'm going all the way back to 2011 when we first started developing this coating. we didn't release it until 2017. So we spent 6 years in development of this product, testing, retesting, challenging, finding out better ways to create the mousetrap, so to speak. And we did it. Ceramic coatings are brittle, right? By nature, they're glass essentially. Anything comes in contact with a brittle product, and we all know that there's a lot of china and crystal in garages, right? Hell no. So from that perspective, a wrench hits it, a screwdriver hits it, it fractures. And that's where the corrosion sets in with ceramic type coatings. Our product also is designed to thrive, and I mean thrive, at 1600 degree surface temperatures. Now, I will tell you, at 1600 degrees on a standard, block, you probably got other problems downstream. But the point I raise is really making sure that people understand we've developed a product that over delivers, if you will, versus underperforming. And I will tell you, Rob and Terry, through the course of the last 2+ years, their feedback, their experience with our coating under probably the most extreme conditions known to motorsports, that has been unbelievably important to our product, to our development. And we refine this product, every day, every week, every month.
Very well said. And let's go ahead and bring in Terry and Rob. And Terry, I'll start with you as an owner and as a driver who is going from 0 to over 300 in 1,000 feet. You obviously need to get every little piece of speed that you can find, especially if you want to start collecting those wobblies at the end of the day. Can you give us an overview of your relationship with Zycoat and the ZyBar product and everything, and how it's helped Terry McMillan Racing?
Well, it's made a big difference in in what we've learned in working with Tim. We not only do the headers look good, and obviously you want to look good when you're on TV and creating the right marketplace, but more importantly, it was the performance that we've seen. And Rob can get into the data because he has all that stuff readily available. But we definitely seen temperature difference. We definitely seen performance difference once we started working with the headers. And it took us a little bit. To be really honest, we tried Tim's coated headers, and we tried another header. And definitely going back and forth between the two, we started to see the difference, and we started to figure out what we needed to do to allow Rob to make the tune-up decisions that he needs to make that car even perform better. So when it's cooler, you can put more fuel in. You can do a lot of different things to make that car perform. And Tim's product has allowed us the ability to do that.
Well, Rob, for you, when you guys are dialing in all the performance and everything that you can, especially in between rounds, and being able to use the product literally out there in the real world, what type of benefits do you see?
Well, one of the things that we see is a huge increase in the longevity of the headers. Tim talks about dissipating the heat, and that is a huge thing for us. We probably have the highest horsepower, highest heat transferred headers of any sport that's out there right now. And for it to come back and double the life cycle of what a normal header would do is just speaks volumes about the product. Also, we did some particular tests. It looked overall that when we would go A to B with a coated header to a non-coated header, we were an average of about 100 to 120 degrees lower on exhaust temperatures. But keep in mind, that probe is not but 3 or 4 inches away from the exhaust port. So for that to show up at all is a big statement in itself. The next thing we did is that we would measure the header temperature as it came off the track. We kind of compiled some information about how long it actually, from when he stopped running to actually that we could have access to the header and actually, get a temperature of the header coming around the corner. And it was down 100 degrees from what it would be without an uncoated header. So, and that's a lot of averages of over 40, 50 runs, to collect that data. But, as far as the tuning portion of it goes, these things are animals anyway. It doesn't take much for one of these things to skip a beat, but we did see an overall increase in the equalization of temperatures across each cylinder. that's one thing we do, is we measure the exhaust temperature on each cylinder, and overall average of it is way closer together than it is without.
Do you feel that this gives you, Rob, a better opportunity to control something that might not has been controllable in the past when it comes to the variables that you have to deal with?
Sometimes we get into situations where we have a hot pipe, and, that cylinder is actually burning hotter than others. And sometimes that can lead to a misfire when we hit the gas at the step of the throttle. And when you have an even cylinder temperatures like that, you're able to actually elevate that exhaust temperature on the starting line, which actually will help you light that cylinder, when you're throwing 60 gallons a minute at it at 8,000 RPM. And then you're in the middle of the track trying to shove 90 gallons a minute in this thing. So it's all really important. And I think it's been very beneficial. Not that I want my other guys to get this information, but, one thing it has done also for Terry, it's taken our budget for headers and cut it in half. It's just simply, they're $2,600 for a pair of our headers, and now we get twice the life easily out of them.
Wow, that's huge. Anywhere that you can save money, obviously, is a very big thing. I do want to remind you, by the way, if you're watching right now, and if you do have a question for either Tim or Rob or Terry, you can just go down to the chat feature at the bottom and type it in, and we'll get those questions that you might have directly to them, and we'll discuss it here during this session here. Tim, you talk about the difference of the ZyBar product with Zycoat, and you mentioned the difference between ceramic and what your coating is, but what about heat dissipation versus insulation and a lot of the other things that people are doing around headers, and what makes your product stand out?
That's a great question, Brad. I mean, in terms of the properties of dissipation, it is so important from the treatment of the metal substrate. I mean, and it doesn't matter if it's a header or a turbo or a stock cast manifold. What we're doing is we're enhancing the ability of that component to perform. Insulators, really, all they do is they trap the heat. It doesn't really do anything for the substrate, because by and large, the majority of those insulators are on the external of the component. So that metal is still heating up. That radiant heat is still occurring inside the component. Heat dissipation really is the property that allows us to open up that full diameter or full void, if you will, to allow that hot gas to flow through. Insulators are kind of Band-Aids or blankets. They're not very effective in terms of trapping, especially when you go from hot, cold cycles. You introduce any type of moisture into those insulators, you're going to create problems for that component downstream. Without a doubt, you're going to shorten the life of the component. You're going to reduce its ability to perform, and you're really doing nothing for throughput in terms of that component. So heat dissipation in terms of the metal substrate, the hot gas, as Rob pointed out in the measurements, and we've seen this in the Crate 604 testing that we did all the way up through the top fuel area. We saw it in the JEG CRA late model series on asphalt. We've seen it corroborated in so many different places. And frankly, the feedback that we got from Rob relative to durability was something that we really didn't foresee. It's that type of feedback that we're starting to see, okay, the dissipation properties of this material are ongoing, the cool down effect, the life of the component. Honestly, those were benefits that we learned from these types of relationships. And it's the lifeblood of development for our company, frankly.
We have a question from the chat, which is great because I wanted to get into this. And I want to start with Rob, and I'm sure, Tim, that you're going to want to answer this as well. But, you know, Rob is the, as a user of the product. The question comes from Rick Bailey. He says, is the product applied both to the inside and the external surface? And is there an advantage to coating both? And I want to even follow up with that as far as the process and procedures and the surface prep and all of that, and out there in the real world for you, how it is. And then certainly let you follow up on that too, Tim. What do you think, Rob?
Well, I tell you what, you know, it is coated on the inside and the outside of the tube. And, you know, just your everyday garage guy can do these coatings. You know, I believe they're water-based, and so the cleanup's real easy, you know, and Tim can get into the different ways that you can apply it that way. You know, one way we were able to do was kind of, we had a sponge kind of effect, and we dip that into the coating, and we actually pull it through the pipe. Then we pull it back through again to remove any kind of excess. I mean, it just takes a really light coat. And anyway, and by doing that, you're just improving it. You know, you're doing a dual boundary relief of heat, the way I see it. A lot of the times our headers cracked from the inside out, and we don't see that. And I tell you what, I have headers in service now that have over 60 runs. And in our industry, they're a 25 run and throw them away. So I hope that helps a little bit with your question.
Yeah. How about you, you know, Tim, as far as from the manufacturer side of any type of recommendations of not only, you know, what you coat, but also how you coat and the surface prep and some touch up too, if that's needed.
Yeah. One of the things, and really Rob pointed it out very, very well. You want to coat the inside and the outside of these components. Your direct contact for the heat source is on the internal component. So doing it on the inside, and we tried over years, we tried every method known to man. And I have it right here. The old tool grabber with a cotton buffing ball is the most effective way to coat the inside of a tube. And people will laugh, people will, you know, no, cap and slosh or spray nozzles or spinner nozzles or what have you. The most effective way that we found was the most old school way. And that's how we coat the inside of headers. And as Rob pointed out, we pull that, we dip the coating, we pull it through in one direction in each port, we dip the coating and pull it through the other direction. And it's such a thin film, and the viscosity of our product is such that, you know, any type of excess, you just hold it upright and let it hang and dry. It'll run out any excess that's occurring. But that was the most effective way that we found to coat the inside of a header. And if you only coat the outside, you're going to get less than half the benefit of the product. You really want to get that coating as close to the heat source as possible. And that's on the inside of a tube.
As a follow-up question as well, Richard Vincent typed into the chat, does the ZyBar coating crack as the headers expand and shrink from the heat?
It's one of the benefits of our product. We have an extremely durable product. Its pencil hardness is 8 on the ASTM scale. I mean, it's a very, very hard coating. However, it maintains flexibility. And one of the things that we're evaluating right now is it's in test, and it's very, I guess at our midpoint, we're looking at the ability to coat tube prior to bending, prior to molding. We believe our coating is flexible enough that it's going to allow us to coat straight tube in volume and then supply that for fabricators and so forth for bending. So it's very early on. I guess we're at our midpoint. We've been at it for about 1.5 years, but we're looking at that as another key future development for our company.
Wow, that is impressive as well. Terry, I want to ask you, we know that Rob designed a new chassis that you debuted in 2020. You had an incredible season out there on the racetrack. And realizing that, say, when you have a product like what Zycoat provides, and all of a sudden it's provided a solution that Rob now doesn't have to think about. Now he can think about other things that make your car go fast. How nice is that for you as an owner driver?
It's great. I mean, Rob's such a talented individual, and when you couple that with Tim's product, it's made our team extremely successful. And like you said, it's allowed Rob the ability now to spend more time in other areas of the car, basically spending more time on the computer, figuring out where we give it a little bit more, whether it's timing or fuel or whatever we got to do to manipulate the car to get it down that track. And he's done a great job with that. And I think that, having to be able to walk away from the headers and knowing, looking at the computer screen, if something was wrong, he's going to see it instantly on the EGT side. So he knows exactly we got a problem. He'd go out and make a call to the team. But in the meantime, if that car goes out there and runs and the EGTs are where they're supposed to be, and they 90% of the time are, he's able to spend his time and focus on other areas, which gives us a proven winner that way.
Yeah, which is a wonderful thing as well. Tim, if I could take it back to you, and we had a comment in the chat from Braden Fincham, says, I've used your products in-house in my shop for customers' vehicles, from mud bog trucks to 602 to 604 crate, and we've seen a dramatic difference in the cooling overheating. I stand by your products. Keep up the great work. Obviously, we're talking with Terry and Rob about NHRA Top Fuel drag racing, but we're also talking to not just an audience of racers, but a worldwide audience of racers. And you mentioned more than just the headers, Tim, about things that ZyBar and Zycoat is an asset to.
Yeah, Brad, I mean, turbo housings. We've done some work with diesel pull guys, diesel drag guys, and they're coating their turbo housings with our product. And guys like, well, everyone wants to start to argue, right, with you. And you go, well, wait a minute. The purpose of the turbo is to spool up that air and keep it as cool as possible when you're injecting it into the cylinder. And what our product does, again, is it prevents that metal housing from heating up and transferring that heat to that air as it's spooling up. Believe me, there's enough friction inside that thing. It's generating its own heat. So what we do is we eliminate that outer ring from affecting that air. So, they treated cast manifolds. They saw a longer spool up. They saw higher power. And we saw that in the diesel drag world. And frankly, at this point in time, we've tested the product on every fuel system that's available out there. So, we're now, it's how do we make it better? How do we offer something and continue to offer technology that really doesn't have any parallel in the market right now?
Rob, obviously you're not going to give up any secrets, but I have to ask, have you looked at any other parts of the dragster and thought, maybe we should try this here? And have you?
Yeah, I have actually. And excuse me. I actually did one of our blowers with it because, again, we're talking about the intake charge and lowering the temperature on it. I can't tell you exactly all the results from it. And but what I was really surprised with is how long it held on. Now think about this. This is nitromethane coming through this thing along with air and a rotor speed of 11,000 RPM. And it's got a urethane strip that's grinding up against it. And I was really surprised on how long it lasted. There was no flaking or anything like that. There was a little bit of wearing, but this isn't a wear product. This is this is to remove heat. And that I can't say, but yeah, it works pretty well. How's that?
Like I said, I don't want you to give up any secrets because we certainly know how valuable those are. Terry, obviously, we talk about the driver and your success there, but also the owner of a race team as well. Partnerships with companies like Zycoat and being able to actually use the products like Zybar that you're able to do. Can you speak to that and what it really means to a race team to have these relationships?
Well, it's what it takes to survive out there, but it's more than that. It's creating the network of people. When we started working with Tim, now we're able to pull him into the trucking industry and other areas that we work within, and we're able to now start using his product and recommending it to other people to try different things. And so I think there's some synergies out there that make it a 100% benefit for Tim to grow his company. And at the same point in time, as he continues to learn more about his products and what he can do with it, he's certainly going to provide that information to Rob, and then we're going to be able to capitalize on that. And if we can do that collectively, you know, we're all going to be winners. And the bottom line is, the way I look at it, if someone gives me 10 cents, I need to give them 25 cents back in return. And that's how I have to do that to make this work out. So ultimately, it's my job now to go out there and reach out to the trucking industry, which we've already been working on, and trying to get some different products in his hands that he can coat and use some of the tools that he has to increase his business. And it's a win-win relationship. I mean, if we're not in it just to get free parts and get them coated, because that doesn't work for anybody. He's not going to like that. We're not going to like that, because it's not what we're about. We're about creating relationships, long-term relationships, and expanding on those relationships. And so the more of those things that we do, the better the relationship's going to be between everybody.
Wow, I commend you and your outlook on the way you're doing business and all of that. I think that says a lot about you and your race team, especially when it comes to partnerships and relationships. And Tim, you and I got to talk a little bit yesterday. For some people, they're going to want to do everything they can to their race car, their vehicles, in their garage. And for other people, they're also going to want to find a specialist who can do it for them. And again, we have a worldwide audience here on EPARTRADE, and setting up a distribution network, setting up people who can actually install these products and do the coatings for people. Can you tell us where you are right now with Zycoat and being able to get the product distributed out there to the masses in that way?
In North America, we have pretty good coverage. We're with, Summit, we're with MotorState, we're with JEGS. And I want to come back to MotorState because I want to talk a little bit about how this all started. And, and I'll come back to that. But to answer your question, Brad, what we're doing right now is we're setting up a network of professional coaters. Guys like 904 Powder Works down in Jacksonville, Top Notch in Northwest Georgia, Gateway in St. Charles, Missouri, and establishing relationships with guys that are professionals at coating components. They have the wherewithal, they have the equipment. So we're setting up those relationships on a geographic exclusive basis across the United States and North America. And we are beginning the process of establishing distribution relationships overseas. We're starting in the UK. And matter of fact, one of our, I believe two of our gentlemen that are on the call here today, or on the webinar today, are from the UK enterprise. And we're going to be working with them to set up distribution exclusively in the UK market. And we're going to expand on that basis. This industry is, as you guys all know, it's built on relationships. It's built on trust. It's built on, 2 years ago, having a conversation with Scott Wallstrom up at MotorState. And he says, hey, Tim, you know what? You need to give Terry and Rob a call. And that's how this whole process started. It was Scott that referred me to these two professionals. And here I was with a company and a product that really had not been proven in Top Fuel, had not been exposed to that world. And Terry and Rob, I met them out at Heartland Nationals, and we spent an hour and a half on time trial day. Okay, Terry and Rob have got a laundry list a mile long on time trial day. They let me sit in their trailer, and the two of them talked to me for an hour and a half, and that just speaks volumes to who they are, what this industry is all about, and how this industry grows and evolves. And I can't thank the two of these guys and Scott, frankly, enough for starting this whole process 2 years ago.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Terry and Rob, I want to ask you, Terry, I'll first start with you. A lot of times in the racing world, when we're doing things, we're doing them because that's the way that we've done them, and they've worked for us. And now someone comes along with a different product for you and something else that they want you to try that might benefit you. And I'm sure you have people pitch different things to you all the time. First, what was it that stood out with Tim and his product, and what was it that convinced you to actually say, yes, this is something that's going to be for us?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to do one thing. George Lane from Lane Automotive. I just want to let everybody know that he passed away the other day, and our hearts and prayers to the family. So Scott Wallstrom and everybody at Motor State and Lane Automotive, because George is the founder, and how he started this business is much like what Tim has done with his, and it's just our hearts and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. But to answer the question, you know, we sat there and we listened to what Tim said, and a lot of what he said made sense. You know, I mean, when you look at tubing, you know, it relatively looks smooth, but not necessarily smooth, you know, but to the eye it does. So when you can start putting a coating on there and you can start smoothing things out, things are going to happen. And when you do it from the inside and the outside both, you know, you're going to allow that heat to transfer. You're going to allow the velocity of that product coming out of that tube to flow better. And so when he was doing, you know, we were having this discussion, it all really made sense. And I'll be honest, I mean, you're always a skeptic because a lot of times free things are not always good. Okay. But in this case, everything that Tim said the product was going to do, it did, and it over delivered. And I think in a lot of cases, that's, you know, that's the best scenario for a race team, because it's not always that way. But, you know, they've done their due diligence. They worked through all the process of what it's going to take to make this product work. And then they finally delivered it. And today, you know, we're relishing the benefits of that. So it was just Tim and his positive theory and the whole process of how he's doing things, which is totally different than any other coating that's out there. So that's what sold us.
Rob, for you, obviously you needed to put this to the test on the track. And if someone is watching right now and, you know, they're kind of wondering, okay, well, does it do this? Does it do that? What were some of the parameters for you that convinced you that this would work, either from a performance, durability, ease of installation, whatever it might be?
Well, the number one thing was the name of the color that we chose, and it's bitchin' black, you know, so I thought that was pretty cool, you know, but no, honestly, the corrosion part of it, number one, you know, we're subject to all kinds of elements. Of course, we don't run in the rain, but we're caught in the rain every once in a while. And the corrosion also is a killer for steel. It doesn't take much pitting or whatever to start a crack and form, you know, different issues like that. So I look at that for some of the parts on the car that I can do that to give it that, you know, corrosion quality. You know, they have three colors, right? So one of them is gasser white, like the old school gassers, you know, with the front straight axles. And then they also have Porsche gray. So when he told me those colors, I'm like, well, that's hella cool. And I'm an old guy and I can still say hella because it was still in my era. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, on the standpoint of our relationship, we're in my old stomping grounds. Okay, I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. You know, Tim's over there in the Kansas City area, and we're at Heartland Park. And I thought, man, if he's from the Midwest area, he's got to be all right. So, but anyway, to answer your question, it actually, the performance standpoint for me to get involved with it, what's the worst that could happen? That's what I could see. It's already, we have headers, you know, whole size is a whole size and that, but I had the benefit of learning whatever it might be and then taking advantage of that. The thing is, we've tried companies before and it was not necessarily a waste of money, but it was a learning process of what not to do. And I'd be the first one to tell you today, and it's not just because me and Tim are friends, it's because the product works. And I think any of my followers and stuff that might be on here today honestly know how honest I am about things. And I'm here to tell you that I wouldn't think twice about not doing it.
Wow, that's incredible. Tim, a couple questions from the chat. Richard Vincent wants to know, any possibility of coating piston crowns? I tried this years ago with zirconium oxide and it didn't work for me. Maybe the technology has advanced.
Great question. We are actually coating piston heads with a manufacturer out in the Southwest US. And they're actually applying our bronze satin coating to the heads on their product. So to answer that question is yes, we've been doing it now for about a year. Unfortunately with COVID, that has been somewhat interrupted from a volume standpoint, but they are coating their piston heads with our product.
That's awesome. Another question from the chat. And again, if you have a question for any of our panelists, either Tim, Terry, or Rob, you can type it right into the chat. But Ethan Metzger wants to know, and we already talked about some other applications, including turbos, but does this product have the same results with turbocharged applications?
It does. What we learned from the diesel guys is, you know, spool up rates, thrust. They actually got enhanced performance on their diesel pulls and drags using our product on the housing. And they coated their turbo and they coated their manifold, their cast manifolds. So to answer that question, we've corroborated that through real world on track type experience. We have not done that at this extensively in all sanctioned race areas, but we have in several.
Yeah, Rob was talking about the colors, which, by the way, I like the bitch and black as well. But if you're at the website, you know, ZyBar, the heat dissipation coating, Zycoat primer, and color coats. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I can. Really, the Zycoat product is the rattle can product, right? The difference is our product holds up to 1200 degree surface temperatures. One of the things that you will always get from us is we're not going to give you ambient temperature and internal temperatures. For a coating to work, the most important temperature is the surface of that metal. Our rattle can product lives up to 1200 degree surface temperatures. And we all know, I mean, glowing red is at about 1150. So, you know, our product withstands. Now the rattle can product, that is really everything except heat dissipation. We're not allowed to put the heat dissipating ZyBar product in an aerosol because that propellant has a negative effect with one of the raw materials in our product. So we're not able to do that in a rattle can. So the Zycoat product is really excellent for aesthetics. It's over 5,000 hours of corrosion resistance from the primer, and then you can color code on top of it. The ZyBar product is really the Mac Daddy. That's the heat dissipation property product that is really going to give you the performance that we've been talking about in terms of heat dissipation properties.
Can you use the two together? Like, could you ZyBar the inside and Zycoat the outside, and you know, get colors and all of that, or does that not?
The answer is absolutely yes. Yes. The ZyBar product comes in 3 different colors. We have black, we have bronze, and we have cast. So that product is available in 3 options. The Zycoat product is available in the Gasser white, the Porsche gray, and the black as well. The primer is the key. That is what gives you the corrosion resistance, and then the color code on top of it gives you the temperature exposure as well.
And curious, I know it's a very durable product, and you talk to that as well, but you know, let's just say someone's working in the shop and they've got the headers off, and you know, they drop a wrench off it, or does something to, you know, to mar the coating, if you will, and leave some exposed metal. Is that a simple touch up, and how essential is it? How essential is it to have a touch up done or a repair done on a part where something might have gotten knocked off?
Without a doubt, our product, one of the unique natures of our product, even post cure, our product will bond to itself. Unlike a ceramic where you have to completely reblast the part, you can touch up our product. So if you've got it bolted on there and you scratch it with a screwdriver, it's really important that you touch up that area, because that's where corrosion is going to start. When you scratch through, and if you're down to the metal substrate and you go through the coating, you will have corrosion in that spot. So our product comes in a little 4-ounce can. You can just use a cotton, you know, swab or a spray and just touch it up in that area.
You know, Rob, for you on your end of things too, you know, if you had bare exposed parts as a result of this, could that be a pretty big negative to, say, the headers themselves? I mean, if you have a hot spot, if you will, or would it create that? Yeah,
You know, right in the radius, you know, where these headers are, you guys can see this or not, but right on the back side and the front side of this radius, it gets extremely hot. As a matter of fact, we've seen cracks, you know, down inside these headers, and I haven't had to touch them up yet. So that's the incredible part of this. But we have like loading them in and traveling down the road. You know, we run 30,000 miles down the road each year, and they'll be banging up against each other and things like that. So where we put the header covers on, things like that. Now we have touched up some of those areas, and that's just for, you know, me coming outside, and I don't like the scratched up stuff, right? But if you look at them, they really don't mar up that much. And we're taking an aluminum cover and slamming these things on hot, you know, after the run. We do that so when we're towing back that we don't get rocks in the pipes and that kind of thing. So abuse wise, yep, you can touch them up. Do I have to? Not that often.
That's awesome. Terry, if I could ask you as well, you know, you guys, the last race has been October, and here we are, you know, just a few days away from February. So what have you guys been up to with the team, and what can we look forward to coming up in this upcoming season?
Well, right now we're in the hunt for a major sponsor. You know, I've been involved with Amley Motor Oil for 19 years, and they had to put our contract on hold. So we have 3 more years left on it, but due to the virus and 350 million or billion miles not being driven, oil sales aren't where they used to be. So pretty much the oil industry as we know it has been cutting, you know, programs out. And so unfortunately we're falling apart of that right now. So we're working hard to find another corporate sponsor that, you know, wants to step up and be part of what we do. I mean, we have a tremendous network. We have the ability to create opportunities for everybody that's ever been involved with our race team. And so, you know, so right now it's kind of tough because it's on short notice. You got COVID, you got the election year, we got everything going against us, but it doesn't stop our determination to get that done. You know, we're working with 2 companies right now. Hopefully one of them will step up and commit. And then we'll be able to go out there and hit the season in March in Gainesville. But right now it's been a little while since we've been in the car, but we know we have a proven winner. And, you know, like I said earlier, Rob built the chassis, and then you take all the parts that we have with Tim and all the other things that we have working with us. We got a great hot rod right now and a tremendous team. And we've been able to keep the team and everybody intact at this point. But, you know, we just got to get some corporate dollars behind us just to get us through the interim here and get this thing rolling again. So, so we've been spending most of our days on the telephone and just trying to, you know, take advantage of opportunities that might be out there and create a marketing partner program with somebody that, that, you know, wants to get the, you know, the ultimate exposure. And I mean, it's like, if you've never been to a drag race, especially, you know, in a pro race side, it's a totally different environment. You know, when they come out and hang out with us at the racetrack, we get them up on the start line. We get them between 2 top fuel cars. You know, you can't do that. I don't care who you are. It's hard to do. But we make them honorary crew chiefs. We do a lot of different promotional items to keep corporate America involved, and more importantly, to keep them, you know, for sales incentives. We use that tool to, hey, look, you know what? If you sell X amount, you get to come out to the races for the weekend, and then you know, when that race is over, then everybody in that corporation is like looking, okay, what do we got to do to go to the next one? So we create that momentum and create them sales incentives internally that allows us the ability to continue to build the relationship. So right now our work's cut out for us. We got tremendous amount of fans and local politicians. We have everybody trying to help put something together, just people that know. And so we're just knocking on doors and, you know, do whatever we got to do to get this done. But, you know, our intention is to be out there in Gainesville in March. And then, you know, in 2022, you know, we'll probably, you know, get involved with Amley at some point. Who knows what the industry is going to look like in a whole, because, you know, I think corporations are finding that more people can work from home today and not have to go into a corporate office. They can get rid of these big glass offices now and get a lot more work done at home. So what that fallout's going to be, it's hard to say. But right now, like I said, we're just moving forward, just like we're going to go racing. And, you know, I got a great crew chief and a great team. And bottom line is I don't want to lose any of it. So we got to keep this momentum going.
Well, obviously, the way you talk about delivering for a sponsor in every way possible, like giving them more money for their dollars and what they're putting in, obviously the access and the different things. I mean, I'm sitting here, my office is at Charlotte Motor Speedway, right across from the ZMAX Dragway, and I just love being able to walk over there and being right there in it. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So we absolutely wish you the best of luck in that regard, and especially considering that the results on the racetrack prove that a company would do very well to have their name down the side of your dragster.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tim, yeah, we mentioned at the beginning of this that you are in your manufacturing facility right there in Kansas. And I know for a lot of people, it's very important where the product is made and what they're buying and what they're using on their race car. So if you could tell us a little bit about the manufacturing facility, and, being right here, literally in the heartland, is a huge asset to people, especially here in North America.
Thanks, Brad. I think from the foundation of the company, and it is absolutely one of the underpinnings of the companies I own. Every product that we manufacture will be manufactured in the United States, and the majority are manufactured right here in the Kansas City area. So it's something we believe in. It's something we're committed to, and we're a small company, right? I mean, we've developed a technology over a very long period of time and spent thousands and thousands of hours in this place coming up with a solution that we feel is truly differentiated in the industry, differentiated in the marketplace. And now it's sessions like this. It's unbelievable folks like Terry and Rob and Scott and many, many others that are allowing us the good fortunate relationships to help build the brand, and that's what we're doing. We've got plenty of capacity. We've got great plans for the future, and we're incredibly excited about 2021. Thank God 2020 is behind us. But 2021 and 2022 are right on the horizon. So we're really excited about it.
Very well said. We've talked a lot about drag racing, and obviously Terry McMillan and his team and what Rob is able to do as a crew chief and all of that. But as we all know, when it comes to racing, if someone's getting beat, they're going to want to know how they're getting beat and why they're getting beat. And that doesn't matter if you're dirt racing, if you're asphalt racing, if you're swamp buggy racing, whatever it might be, tractor pulling. Some of the other forms of racing that you've broken into with Zycoat and with the Xybar product, where are we starting to see this on the track a little bit more? And is there any form of racing that this will not be a benefit?
Every place that we've touched so far, Brad, we're starting to generate a following. We've been in the JEG CRA late model series for now. This will be our third season. We had an individual that worked with us also from the Kansas City area, Mandy Chick, just a phenomenal young woman, up and coming racer. And she was worried about, and having terrible time with race shoes, melting, blisters. Her headers on her CRA late model were right next to the floor pan, and she was burning up her feet. And her dad came to us, and Steve Chick from Chick Motorsports, some of you guys from the Busch Series truck world may know that name. He said, listen, we want to give your stuff a shot. And they ran a time trial up in Michigan the first time they bolted headers onto her late model. And she pulled into the pits after about 20 laps and said, I don't feel any heat coming through the firewall. And that was her first comment. And her dad's like, wow. And then he took a video when they pulled into the pits, and he grabbed the headers. Now, I don't recommend anybody do this, but Steve did it and took a picture with his cell phone. He grabbed the headers with his hand. And he's like, wow, and that was 2.5 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. And, so dirt, circle track, we've been out in Baja, we've been all off-road, the power sports market, marine. We're starting to see, people are putting it to the test, right? Everybody's a skeptic, rightfully so, especially when they don't have anything that they can compare it to. And we're starting to see a very broad-based use of this product in everywhere there's a powertrain, and we're excited about it.
Wow. And you bring that up too. I mean, you think of any type of race car where an exhaust system literally runs right underneath the floorboard. I mean, NASCAR is one thing that comes to mind for sure. Could you coat the floorboard, either the underside or the inside? Is that a reasonable thing, or would that help?
You know what, really, the floorboard's not going to be 500 degrees. It's really the tube underneath the floorboard is what you want to coat. That will restrict that radiant heat. And we put thermocouples on every port on the dyno testing that we did. So we had volumes of data where we were able to measure radiant heat 1 inch away from the tube. And we measured it about 4 inches off the block, right at the curve of these long tube headers. Really, probably the hottest spot on these headers, along with the collector. And we put thermocouples on every one of those tubes, and we measured a 160 degree average temperature 1 inch away from the tube. And that's an enormous heat reduction. You're talking 300-400 degrees under untreated circumstances. So we saw a very significant drop in radiant heat in all of our testing. So again, coating the floorboard, really, we would recommend is coat the tube that's underneath the floorboard that's generating the heat.
And that makes sense. I know we're starting to wind down our time here just a little bit, so I just want to go through the panel as well and just, solicit any final thoughts that we might have. Rob, I'll go ahead and start with you. I know we've covered a lot, and you talked a lot about the benefits that it has been to the race team with Terry McMillan Racing, but is there anything that you want to talk about with ZyBar and with Zycoat that, maybe we haven't touched on yet?
Well, I don't think we've really talked about the whole application process. There's two different things. You can actually air dry these, and you can also, bake these in an oven. And if you saw my powder coat oven, you'd probably want to just put a pizza in it here. And so that's how we've done some of our stuff here, because we've let them, set and air do it. But, being a crew chief and on a race team, you have about, this much patience. So, but that's what's cool about it, is that, the guys at home, the guys that are in the garage making hot rods and that kind of thing, they can totally use this product. And it's easy application. I'm sure if you go on the website, and Tim's got great recommendations on, prep and that kind of thing. But, it doesn't take more than a primer gun if you're spraying something large. And then again, you can wipe it on also. So I just want to let everybody know that it's a great, easy application, a couple different ways you can do it. And I have cooked pizza in that oven that we have cooked these things in, because, around here it gets kind of hungry and you're here late and nobody's going to feed you. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking, when is lunch, and, where do we show up? So now you get me hungry. Terry, how about you for your end? Is there anything that you want to talk about the relationship, the partnership, the product?
Well, first off, it's a great product, as we've all said, and I think that it's certainly cutting edge. The technology and the testing that Tim's group has put together here has been amazing. But what's more important, and just to reiterate a little bit of what Rob said, is that it's great for the DIY guy. It's the guy that's going to go out there and do it himself, and he can code his own products. He can make it work, and more important, he can see the benefits and feel the benefits. And I think that ultimately that's what's going to raise Tim's company to the top, is because it's not just something that you have to ship out and get it done. You can do it yourself, and that's, to me, is a proven winner.
Tim, I know obviously all the research and development and everything that goes into making this product, there's certainly a lot into it. But for the end user, we've already talked about how it could be a great cost savings, especially in, literally doubling the life of a set of headers, for a top fuel drag racing team. But also this really isn't a product that's going to break the bank to actually, be able to simply apply it and get direct benefits out of it, right?
That's exactly right, Brad. I mean, at retail, to do a set of small block headers, it's $150. I mean, it's not, guys are out there, looking at stainless as an option, and spending 10 times that. And they can buy mild steel headers and coat them themselves and put, the other $1,200 or $1,300 in their pocket, and get really enhanced benefit, enhanced performance from the product. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank Rob and Terry for their relationship and their willingness to work with us and provide feedback. And, you know, it's what allows our industry to just thrive. It's relationships like this and people like this. And I'm going to throw Scott Wallstrom in that discussion as well, because it's where it started. And I just, you know, I look forward to the next visit to the track, and I won't take an hour and a half of their time on time trial day, but I'll certainly pop in, say hello, and see what's up. That's for sure.
Well, you know, you're always welcome. That's for sure. We couldn't do it without you. You've been a great marketing partner and a great friend on top of all of that. And we really, really appreciate that.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks.
Very well said. Tim, is there anything else that you want to let folks know about ZyBar, about Zycor, about the product, anything?
You know what? It's however you want to apply it. If you want to do it yourself, you can do it yourself. We've got full instructions, full video instructions, full written instructions. Like any coating, it's critical that you follow them, but it's there for you. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, we'll set you up with one of our local coaters, professional coaters, and have them apply. You know, bring it to them, have them apply it to their headers. All of the above, it's open and ready for you. If you're comfortable doing it, have at it. If you're not, just go to our coating referral network or bring it to your local coater and have them do it.
Yeah, I do want to point out for anyone who might be viewing right now, Zycoat.com. It's a very nice, simple, easy to navigate website, but right under the where to buy tab. If you want to buy it online, retail, coaters, wholesale, all of that, you guys have really made it easy to be able to get this and be able to use it, Tim.
Thanks, Brett. You know, the worst thing in the world is to make it difficult for your customer, right? So at the end of the day, if somebody has an issue, pick up the phone and call us. You know, 913-599-2600. Call us. We'll answer the phone Monday to Friday, 8 to 5.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Tim, Terry, Rob, we want to thank you all for being a part of this here with EPARTRADE and just being a part of the network. You can also find out more by simply going to their Zycoat page at epartrade.com and can contact directly through that as well. So we want to thank you all for that. I see Judy has put her camera on, is back up with us, and Francisque as well. I'll turn it over to either one of you and say thank you. And thank you to Zycoat for today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Brad. A big thank you, team, for putting the webinar together. Great honor to have Terry and Rob with us. I'm a big drag racing fan. I discovered drag racing 20 years ago when I moved from France here in the States, and we have a lot of good friends in drag racing. So I'm sure you know Judy. She has been to many tracks, and no, thank you very, very much. Great webinar. Again, team, thanks for your support. Zycoat was one of the first supporters of the EPARTRADE platform, and you can just put the product back on the homepage right now. So go on epartrade.com, click on Zycoat's product. You can connect directly with Tim and someone from his organization. So again, thank you very much. We'll be back next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Judy, who's going to be with us next week?
Yeah, Pro Ultrasonics, hosted by Jeff Hammond.
Very good.
Worked with them for a long time, and they did a great technical webinar during Online Race Industry Week, so I'm sure next week's going to be good as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. The webinar will be posted on the platform later on today. We just have to download it, edit it. It will also be available on podcast, and we'll send it to all of you. And then please join us again next Wednesday. So thank you very much. Have a great week. And again, big thank you, team, for putting this great panel together. And best wishes, Terry and Rob, for the upcoming season.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks to EPARTRADE as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Rob.
You betcha.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, Brad. Thanks.